Come on in, welcome to my home. Can we talk about our unrealistic expectations of home? Alright, now, we've covered parts of this before, where I talked about what you see in a home necessarily, especially on video, isn't exactly real. I mean, the representation of my home right here is not 100% of what it would look like. If you're interested in those videos, click that icon. It will show you those. But there are other things to this, because I watched a movie where home danced and did magical things, and no, I don't expect anybody's home to be able to do that. However, there are moments where we expect our home to be this magical place where we walk into it and it feels like us, it feels like this safe place. And is it? Is it sunshine? Is it raining? Who knows? And I am not saying that you are the cause of your home to be the way it is, because there are lots and lots of reasons that your home is the way that it is. You might not be 100% at fault for why your home works the way it does or does not. But there are some things that we expect our homes to do that they just don't. And it's okay. Our homes are these complex, what would I call it? A machine? Or a box? A thing. It's very complex, and it should be able to do all things. It shouldn't just be a dance party every time we're cleaning. Well, or can it? Can it be a dance party every time that we're cleaning? Can it be this somber place for reading, this cozy place for snuggling up in front of the TV? The answer is yeah, but your home has to be adaptable for that. But we have to look at what's reasonable. What are reasonable expectations? And that also goes for the extreme. A lot of us have been told that our homes are supposed to be these safe, secure places where everything is happiness and sunshine. And that's really great and everything. But then a lot of us are also told that your home is this boring place where nothing fun ever happens and it's so dull and horrible. And that's not reasonable either. It's right there in the middle. It can be both. It can be dull, it can be fun, it can be boring, it can be whatever. But we have to be careful of the expectations that we put upon our home. We have to be careful that we aren't sitting there making our homes into these completely fictionalized versions of what people actually see or do or want. When we look at television, our television shows us that even people who have the lowest of incomes still have ridiculously cavernous homes. Have you ever noticed that? I know in my place is actually not that bad, but I can't put my furniture in the middle of the room and still have a walkway to go from the front door to the rest of the house, because it's not that big. It's not that big at all. To pull something off like that, you would literally need a lot of space. But yet we've been taught that that's how things should be. But it's not. There's a reason why the couch is never up against the wall. It's because there's a thing known as three-point lighting. Three-point lighting is the fact that you have a light over here, which I have one over there, a light over here, and a light behind me which shines down on my shoulders, which keeps me from looking like I'm right back smacked up against the wall. With a couch up against the wall, I can't do three-point lighting on a set or a TV or that sort of thing, because it's right up against the wall. So that's why you have houses that have three-point lighting. I can also move characters through one room to another without having the furniture right up against the wall. And that's really cool and everything, but that gives us an unrealistic expectation of how our lives should be. Our lives shouldn't look like a TV commercial. Our lives shouldn't look like the catalog, because of one things I've found about catalogs is a lot of times those wonderful master bedrooms with the fireplace and the huge windows, either they're sets or they're photographs that are taken out in the living room. Living rooms are pretty big. But if I take my bedroom and move it into the living room for the photographs, yeah, it's going to look great. Well, okay, mine's going to probably look just about the same. But you get the picture. So, what is a reasonable expectation for your home? Well, a reasonable expectation for your home is what you set it up to be. And that is why I am all about changing your home decor every once in a while, changing things up, so that way you aren't locked into sunny sunshine when you're just not feeling it. Maybe you are a goth person and you love that whole dark academia look. Cool, wonderful, fine, but you want it all the time. Maybe not, maybe. But it has to be a reasonable expectation. My house does not play me musical songs all the time and move furniture around so that things can get done. When I say I'm going to have dinner, I can't just miraculously in 2 seconds have dinner on the table. Those are not reasonable, yet we are taught that that's something reasonable to expect. We are taught that it's reasonable to think that we're going to have as much free time as our favorite book character or our favorite movie character or these fancy people, oh boy, or these people that we see in social media who can go out and do all those sort of things, but they might have the extra resources that we don't, and those extra resources can include things which you don't think about. Things like people who actually clean and cook for them. That's an extra resource. Things like extra space. Space is a big thing. I can have lots and lots of decor changes here because I have enough space to store the decor changes that I want. I have reasonable expectations of my home because I have sunshine which comes through my windows, which makes this room pretty darn light, even though I do have to add extra light for things like these recordings. And that's okay. But the reasonable expectations are what we need to look at our house. Our house isn't going to be this wonderful Belle's Library, or I guess it was the Beast Library from Beauty and the Beast. That's not reasonable. No one's going to be singing Be Our Guest the minute I walk through the door because that's not reasonable. And even though a lot of these are extreme examples of how we have unreasonable expectations, a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are those whole, it takes a while to clean a house. That's reasonable. We all know it takes a while to clean a house. But we all don't want to take that time to do it. We think that, well, I should be done in 2 seconds because I want to go and do something else. Well, no, it's going to take you a while. And the worst part about this is we've been taught this from the beginning of school. Unless there is a reason for something, we don't want to put that into a story, a book, a movie, whatever, because there's no reason for it. Well, no, there is a reason for it. Things happen. Light bulbs go out. Unexpected things happen. A cloud goes by the sky. We don't know, but it needs to be, your expectations of your house need to be real. What can you realistically do in your home? Would I love to be able to blow out some walls here and there and then put in skylights and those sort of things? Oh yeah, that'd be great. Can't do that. That's never going to happen. I would love to have exposed brick on my wall, and could I put on the exposed those fake bricks on the wall? Yeah, I could, but it costs a lot of money. I'd love to have my office all done right now, but that's not a reasonable expectation of what can actually happen with the resources that I have in the time that I have. I need to reasonably think about the things which I can do. What do I have the ability to do? And then don't think about the things that I know that I don't have the ability to do, but by gosh, I'm going to do it anyway because I watched a video and so now I'm an expert on woodworking. I'm not an expert on woodworking, but I could go into this with the idea of I'm going to build these bookcases, they're going to be great, they're going to be wonderful, I can wire them up and everything's going to be fantastic, and then when it doesn't happen, I am absolutely crushed and know that I'll never, ever, ever do anything like that again. But that doesn't even make any sense because I'm not an expert at woodworking. I'm not an expert at design. So to have that idea that miraculously my house would be impeccable, no. I mean, I grew up at a time when TV was everything, and I expected, our life to be like on the TV. When I would say something hysterically funny, there'd be people who would laugh. But realistically, that's creepy. That's very weird. We can't spend as much time and energy with these unrealistic expectations of the way things should be. We have to look at the way things are, what we can do to change them into the way we would like them to be, and what we can realistically do to change them into the way that they can be. There are some expectations that we have that we just cannot make happen, and that's okay. Can you work really hard to try to get it to as close as you can? Yes. Should you do that? Probably. But I am not an expert in this. I'm not an expert in your life. You know more about your life than I do. What I am an expert in is trying to be an expert in my life. I'm excelling at trying to be an expert in my life. I can share my life with you. I can share my tips with you. I can share the way that I can do things, and you can look at that and say, hey, that worked for him. Let me try that. That may or may not work, and that's okay. It didn't have to work for you. But if I tried to do something, I have a neighbor whose house does not face south. My house faces south. So I have my plants in my windows. Her house faces north. Plants in her windows would never, ever get daylight or sunshine. Never. Because her house faces north. The sun will never shine into those windows. So her reasonable expectations of putting plants in her windows, not going to happen real well. She'd need low light plants. That's okay. I'm not a perfect plant person. My big avocado is sort of dying right now. And I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it. That's okay. I can learn. I can make changes, but I have this reasonable expectation of the fact that I won't get everything perfect. My house won't be perfect. The house won't be clean all the time. That's okay. If I sit down and I read a book and my house isn't absolutely gorgeous, that's okay. I do the best that I can, and I do the best that I can with what I have. I strive for a little bit better, but it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to have reasonable expectations of what you can and cannot do. Can you better yourself? Yes. I'm doing as much as I can to learn more about what I can do. Even making these videos, every time I make a video, I become a little bit better. My expectations of what I can and cannot do are a little bit better, a little bit more. So then my reasonable expectations go up. But I'm not going to be the absolute end-all, be-all, cinegraphic, yeah, is that right? Person who's taking a video. That's not who I am. That's not what I do. It's not something that I'm actually even trying for. But yeah, so when you look at your house, please, please have reasonable expectations. And you can change those expectations by getting the knowledge that you need to making your home, your life, your whatever, a little bit better. But until you have that knowledge and that expertise and that whatever, it's not going to be exactly the way it was in the picture, in the movie, in the TV show. But it can be a little bit better. So bring your expectations down a little bit. Work really hard to get them back up, so that way you can see your dream and you can get to the dream that you wanted it to be. Well, let me know what you thought about that down in the comments. What are your expectations? What things are you looking at and saying, hey, this is what I'd love for this to be, this not to be, what I thought things would be like, and what they really are. Let me know down in the comments. I'd like to take this time to thank my patrons, because without them, these videos would never ever get made. They're the ones who help keep me going. We have all sorts of discussions in our Patreon. And I hope that these videos help motivate you to actually try new things, do what you want. Make your home, so that way it works just for you. And I hope I get to see you again next time you stop by.